So Elon Musk is posting this on Twitter, and he's saying that this is the full racist, sexist, and discriminatory set of laws enforced by Disney's DEI Gestapo. It's interesting because it used to be diversity, inclusion, and equity. It was spelled die, but now they realize that they're saying they, right? So what I find interesting is like how much energy and how much resources are diverted to stuff that has nothing to do with the entertainment itself. And again, I gave an example in the previous video, but I want people to understand this, right? Imagine you're working at Blizzard, and you have like this diversity officer, this lady of color that they hired, that they were very proud of this hiring process, and she is now on top of the ladder when it comes to writing. Like, she gets to green light what is okay to write and what isn't. So, obviously, you know, she must be a really good writer. Like, she must be phenomenal in what she does. When I looked it up, she hasn't published anything. She hasn't written a brochure, chat. So, basically, if you're a writer at Blizzard with decades of experience that has helped write video games like The Frozen Throne or World of Warcraft, or, you know, like stuff that people from around the world recognize and love, you need to now get permission from this little nobody, whether it's okay or not, to publish your story. And she can have input and she can decide whatever. I imagine that what is happening here is happening at all the companies. So imagine how toxic it is to know that you have the experience, to know that you have the talent, and yet like a random ideological nobody is placed on top of you, and you have to get permission from them. And those people may be incredibly arrogant, they may be incredibly toxic. And the question is like, how many skillful people are going to remain at the company? Because I have seen this happen in real life, and my parents told me about it. Because they lived under the Soviet Union. And people are like, well, V, why do you think about the Soviet Union so much? It's like that meme with the Roman Empire. Like, do you think about the Roman Empire? And my answer, like, do I think about the Soviet Union? All the time. All the time. Non-stop. All the time. It's like that, right? And my parents used to tell me, it's like when they were working at the farm or when they were working at various factories, that there would be like a person that was anointed by the party to be there. And they were usually like someone's son or daughter or cousin. And they knew absolutely nothing about how to run a farm. The only thing they knew was like the party ideology. But like other than that, they had absolutely no clue about how to run things. So imagine you're an engineer with decades of experience, knowing how things are done, and you have like this chucklehead that's not only your boss, but knows absolutely nothing about how the factory is supposed to be run, and gives you attitude and sass and constantly mocks and belittles you. How many people do you think are going to remain at that place? You know, the difference was that in the Soviet Union, all places were ran like that, so you didn't have much of a choice. But in America, all the skilled people can just fuck off. There's no reason to put up with this bullshit, to have like talentless people looming over you and treating you as if you're a second-class citizen. And this is what's happening at all of the entertainment companies. So look at this. Look how little Disney is actually putting energy and effort into creating stuff that is entertaining, versus how much energy they're putting into making sure that they're hiring the cock and the pussy, and they're invested into seeing how their employees are having sex, and all of this nonsense that has like nothing to do with making timeless classics. And obviously this is why they keep making remakes and reboots, because they have no idea how to create new stuff. It's kind of like a fast food joint at this point. You know, you go to Burger King, you know what you're going to get. It's that soggy burger that you know how it tastes, and the French fries, which are soggy as well, right? And the reason is like Burger King is not like a restaurant with a chef that can innovate. No, Burger King like has the formula, and they know how to create their food, and that's it. And this is the same now with the entertainment. This is the same with Walt Disney. It can't create new things. It can't make new stuff. Like, it has the formula of all things, and what they do is like they gender swap, they race swap, And then they have like their toxic marketing where they say if you don't like their movie, you're a sexist, racist, misogynistic pig. And if you aren't a racist, sexist, misogynistic pig, then give money to the mouse and prove it. That's their marketing. That's all they know. It's like, okay, let's do a Black Ariel. Oh, you don't like Black Ariel? You're a racist, sexist, misogynistic pig. If you guys want to stick it to the racist, sexist, misogynistic pigs, then give us money. And then they're like, oh my god, the racist, sexist, misogynistic pigs are downgrading, are downvoting our video. They're review bombing our movie. Will someone stop them? Our movie is perfect. It's the best movie ever made. By the way, speaking of, how many remakes did Disney do which are now timeless classics and people want to rewatch? Because every single time they say, oh no, our movie is perfect. It's just like trolls on the internet are review bombing. How many of you have rewatched Miss Marvel or Captain Marvel? How many of you plan to do that in the future? How many, when are you going to watch like Disney's first gay ever or first female ever or whatever the fuck identity politics they're pushing it? When are you going to rewatch that? No one does, right? Because like no one cares. Nobody cares. The only people that care are the people at Disney that like to leech money off of a successful business that's not going to be successful for long. So look here, right? Like standard on-screen representation. At least 3 of the 5. So characters 50% or more regular and recurring written characters come from underrepresented groups. What the fuck is an underrepresented group if it's being represented by the biggest entertainment company in the world? Actors, 50% of more regular and recurring actors from underrepresented groups. They have a fetish with these underrepresented groups, don't they? Meaningful inclusion of underrepresented groups. So in other words, you have to add the underrepresented group, but like once you add them, they can't be villains, they can't be like interesting characters, they have to be bland and boring. Because it has to be meaningful inclusion, right? Like if you have a gay character, you can't have him like a drunk or something like that. For instance, one of my favorite story arcs is Endeavor from My Hero Academia. Like this guy was a wife beater, he was a horrible person. Everything he did was out of his own ego. Like he wanted a child that would be the best superhero. And he was living his life through his child. Like, worst type of character, right? And once he does become the best superhero, he realizes that being the best superhero is not like just a wall of fame, but it's a responsibility. And he has to inspire others. And now he has a duty. And it's very difficult to accomplish. And then he tries to reconnect with his family. So he goes like through an interesting character arc. Goes through an interesting dynamic. And you can't fucking do that with inclusivity. Like, if he was a black person, immediately Twitter would freak out. And it's like, oh no, you can't have that because they don't see Blade as the character. They see Blade as a representation of all black people everywhere. So the moment Blade has like a single flaw, or like something akin to a stereotype, they freak out. So it literally prevents you from creating interesting stories. And not only that, right? Like, to have like standard on-screen representation 50% of the time, they must hire someone. Like they must pay someone, probably tens of thousands of dollars, to sit there with a fucking clock to measure just how much time has a person spent on the screen, to associate that with their skin color, to associate that with the cock and pussy and where they like to put it in. Like this is where Disney invests their resources. And I want you to imagine, right? Like you're a writer. Writing is not easy, by the way, right? Like, if you want to do good writing, it's actually difficult. So you're finally finishing the script, and then someone comes back to you, and they're like, well, you know, like, Tyrion Lannister, he's from an underrepresented group, and he only has, like, 300 lines. Can you add, like, 50 more so that it's more than Jaime has? Can you understand just how batshit insane those conversations need to be? And how frustrated those poor writers have to be? No wonder they're on strike. Holy shit. I mean, if you're an actual good writer, I definitely don't think you're going to be working at Disney. There's no fucking way. Like, the moment they come with that madness, you're like, jeez, what the fuck? I'm trying to write an entertaining story here. Like, what the fuck are you doing? It's almost like you're casting spells. Like, you're trying to cast spells on the population to social engineer them, rather than tell an interesting story. And it's like, your spell requires the reagent of 50% underrepresented, because otherwise it doesn't cast properly. So yeah, really horrible. No wonder that all these companies are failing to entertain. And I don't know if they're ever going to change. I mean, South Park already made fun of them with the put a chick in it and make it gay. And even they have to understand, like, when South Park is making fun of you, it's time to have a little bit of self-reflection. Let me know what you guys think. And if you like my videos, please consider supporting the channel. There is a link into the pinned comment. Look, I have to e-beg. If I don't e-beg, I starve, okay? So, link into the pinned comment, and I'll see you guys there. Take care.